Hi there, welcome back. Well, at least welcome back for us. I think I'm live on all of it. I'm trying a new platform with this and we are trying things out, so we'll see if it works. So we'll give it a minute in case it is still connecting to a few of the platforms. I think I'm checking. It looks all good. Ashton, I think it looks good. I'm waiting for a ping from her to say, yep, you're good to go. It's 9:30 anyways. We're a little ahead, so. And you can edit this out at the beginning while we're just the prep time. It's that, like when you're in a meeting, you have to make sure all the technology's working. So we'll assume it's all good. Oh, it looks good. So welcome. Hi, everybody. I don't expect anybody to be live with us because Agile for All must own that we have dropped the ball. We started off so strong doing these periodically, having a couple of us getting together. We enjoyed them. People were enjoying them. And then life just got busy. We started building a few new classes. We had some conferences that we were doing, and I don't know, no excuses. We just dropped the ball. We just did it. So Ashton and I were talking, and we realized we don't want to wait till 2020 to restart it. So how better to own it at the end of 2019 that we kind of fell off the wagon for a little bit and we're back and kind of start strong, finish strong for the year, and hopefully a much better year in 2020 of us consistently staying on top of this for the year as we go forward. It's the end of 2019. Can you believe that? It's crazy to me. This year absolutely just flew by. So I thought, why not do a little retro for the year, but in a very kind of overarching, big, somewhat slightly personal, because I don't know how to not do that. So retro of 2019. And I'm going to use a modified, adapted version of the liked, loved, lacked, learned. I'm going to just change it a little bit and go in different orders, because I want to end strong, so I figured why not start on the lacked and own. We're a growth mindset community. We should own what we wish would have been a little bit stronger, better, more of, whichever angle you're looking at. So for me personally, the area that I have been wanting for years, and I see traction happening, and yet it still lacked in 2019 for me, was really depth when it comes to whether you call it organizational agility, business agility, just kind of really looking at it that we're all coming together as to what we're really trying to accomplish in an organization. And my key moment of really kind of realizing this happened earlier this year. I was attending the Global Scrum Gathering in, I think, Austin this year. I don't know. The years are all starting to blur together, which is really sad because it was only like May or June or so, but I think it was in Austin. It was a Global Scrum Gathering, and I attended a session, and it was about agility in HR. And I was super excited. I wanted to be diving into this topic more and hearing things, and so I went to the session, and I was so sad because there was probably I don't know, 30 people in there out of a huge conference of, over 1,000 people. And it wasn't the speaker. It wasn't the content. The reality is the people most interested in this topic aren't at that conference right now. And it got me thinking about, well, where are they? Where do we want to partner more with? Where do we want to explore more? And so I made a personal commitment, and I have since already tried, at least I've put my step forward. I'm going to try in 2020. Oh God, it's 2020. Like, that's just crazy to me. Submitting to an HR conference. And not from and be really careful about this, because I think this is one of the things that has lacked is the discussions, but also when we do start engaging the discussions, many people sometimes come across a little arrogantly of like, well, we know how to best do it and you need to fix your discipline. But I submitted to HR conference to basically say how Agile's made HR's life hard. Not intentionally, not and maybe not even from a place that shouldn't be making it hard, but it still has made HR departments and people in the HR communities life tough. And for us to start talking about why that is and what we can partner together for going forward. Because ultimately, when you talk about HR and you talk about Agile community, a lot of ways our goals are similar, to create organizations where amazing value can be delivered. And I think it's about time we actually start partnering together and looking at that. And this is not, I shouldn't say it like nobody's been doing anything in this area. There are, in fact, I've been able to reach out to several people and talk about which HR conferences and things along those lines. So please I don't want to discount anybody's efforts by any means, but I'm going to add to the plate, and I think doing it more and more, and I hope to see it. It's the thing that I hope to see in Agile 2020, the big Agile Alliance conference, even more in terms of emerging economies and emerging disciplines and what that means. So I'm really excited for it. I've been waiting, and this has been lacking for a long time, and I just keep seeing more and more momentum for it, and that makes me super happy and excited and kind of scared all at the same time of what that can mean, but good all around. So that was probably my primary lacked from an Agile perspective, is although I think there's been movement, I still want more movement. I still want more innovation. I still want a little bit faster, and maybe that's selfish on my part, but it is there. On a personal note, my personal lacked for the year, as I said, I finally committed that I was like, yes, I'm going to write a book. Jake Calabrese and I are going to partner together on it. We started outlining it, and the outline actually came together, a rough outline. Let me be clear. Rough outline came together fairly quickly, and then nothing more has happened. So I own it. There's so many challenges, and I'll have to dive into that personally. You don't care about any of that, but it is something that lacked. I said I was going to do and start in 2020 or 2019, and technically I started, but not really. So it was definitely a lack on my part. So those are my top two, personal and Agile one. Learned for 2019. Each year I try and take on one new program or area of learning. I finally was able to get through the accelerated program of ORSC through CRR Global, which stands for Organizational Relationship Systems Coaching. And it's a multi-program, multi-day course. I did the accelerated one where some of the classes were like 3 days, a break, and then 3 more days in the same week. I do not recommend that for most. It was brain fried, like I was exhausted, absolutely exhausted. I wasn't teaching, I was just in the class. It was pretty tiring with it. Overall, really happy with a lot of the tools that I learned, using many of them today, everything from third entity edge work to probably some of my favorite ones was the de-triggering and the role exhaustion and understanding inner roles and secret roles. And I know I'm probably talking like, what are you talking about, Tricia? But I don't want to go into all the details of it, but I think it gave me a lot more tools to understand what might be under the surface in a lot of relationships and in teamwork. And so definitely leveled me up. I'm happy I took it. There were some parts that just authentically weren't for me. But others absolutely love those parts too. And I applaud being able to have a spectrum across different things. But it was a long program. Happy I took it. Learned a ton. And excited for how it's going to influence my training, my speaking, my coaching as I'm going forward. So thanks, Jake, for the recommendation, for finally getting on it. I'm glad it could finally fit in my schedule. Although I just realized their next version is of Accelerated program is in Denver. It would have saved me a lot of money instead of flying to Toronto every time. But I got it through, I got it done, and I was really happy to get through that program. in 2019. The personal side of just something that kind of I learned the most, I at 2018 was a rough year, and for me personally, and 2019 it really was trying to be about self-care, and I know that's a hot topic, everybody's kind of talking about it, but in some ways it really just genuinely was where I was at the time of what does it mean, and specifically as a leader, what does it mean when you're volunteering for things, when you're stepping up, when you're trying, and it's just hard. And somewhere along the line in 2019, I started sharing some of the self-care techniques that I learned when I finally asked for help, which unfortunately took much longer than it should have. But the self-care techniques, but also just the patterns that in a lot of ways, I think leaders, we often think, oh my gosh, this is only me. It's horrible. And I've seen a lot of really good leaders step away as leaders because it becomes a little too much personally. And we don't talk about it. It's something that's just, well, you're the leader, step it up, put your big girl pants on. And it's just not that simple. It's not that easy. And often we can't, as leaders, really fully disclose all the information or all the dynamics, the context. And so we take criticism, we take judgments, we take commentary, and we just have to take it. And that can do a toll on anybody. And it did a toll on me. And so I started really thinking about the patterns I'd seen when I'm working with leaders in organizations, when I was directly helping grow leaders in organizations now, and then personally for myself, and realized there's a lot of really key patterns that just keep coming up. Am I going to add value? What if I get fired? All these things that just make you human, honestly, and realized we should be talking about them. There's no shame in it. And what I did personally to help me overcome some of those things, which may work for you, you may have other ideas of things that would work for you for that pattern, but at least for us to get the conversation started. And what I learned most in doing this, I've now done it at a couple different, whether it be an open space, an actual session. What I learned most was, I'm not alone. That there are a lot of people that I will sometimes just say, well, it's my imposter syndrome, or it's I did something wrong and this is on me, and then I can spiral, right? But that a lot of people struggle with this. And talking about and sharing about it, I think my original goal was to try and give people tools to help them. What I think I learned the most was that it isn't even the tools to help them. It was just that someone was willing to talk about it, that we could share, that we could discuss it. Definitely surprising to me, and yet shouldn't have been surprising to me all at the same time. But that's what happens. That's reality. And so for me, a big lesson I learned is to keep doing that, keep talking, keep sharing, even if it's slightly embarrassing. Okay, maybe more than slightly. Even if no one else wants to admit it, even if you think you're the only one, it's important to share. It's important to talk. And what gets me nervous about it sometimes, like, well, people don't want to know about me, like, who cares about me? But the reality is often if it's happening to you, it's happening to others. And so there's patterns there. And until someone and more people speak up and share and talk, it's hard to see the patterns. It is hard to move forward and to go with that. So I definitely learned this year more self-care, more boundaries, more ways to be proud of the work that I do, the work that I'm trying to do, and of my growth. And that's a pretty great feeling to end the year on. So we did learn, so let's do loved. And obviously the things that I learned, I loved, but I wanted to highlight a couple key moments from the year of just things that are out there for people to explore, to see, to experience. Not shocking. A couple of them are tied to conferences. I scaled back. I only did 3 this year. And when I was thinking about my loved moments of the year, there was one at each one of these 3 conferences. So I might have to ramp my conferences back up. The energy you get and the inspiration you can get at a conference is quite impressive. So one was, I mentioned earlier, the Global Scrum Gathering. Daniel Pink keynoted. Kudos to Scrum Alliance on that call. I don't fangirl very often. I was so excited to meet Daniel Pink. I was a big fan of Drive. I have since read the book When, and it's fantastic. It really helps me to understand, again, more team dynamics, people aspects to how we get things done. And getting to like see him in action and go, oh my gosh, it really is him narrating that. That is his voice, and he says some of the same things. I was totally fangirling out in the keynote, getting to meet him after, and I even got a selfie with him, so I was so happy. Definitely a highlight moment for me. It's a really cool thing when you get to meet somebody that has dramatically influenced how you lead, how you try and help people, how you try and help yourself. And I kind of hope that for a number of people, because I was as happy as can be. Another one was at the main Agile Alliance 2019 conference. I feel like I'm just plugging these conferences, but I don't care. They're awesome. I should plug them. I got asked this year by Docklist to be a stalwart. And what a stalwart session is kind of like, think industry leaders, experts, knowledgeable people who have been around for quite some time that you might want to just ask questions, champions of Agile, of trying to move forward. And I was so elated. I've been in this community since 2007. I never really thought of myself as ever being on that track. I've led the track, I've led the conference, but I still never put myself as a speaker on that track. And sure enough, I had those like terrifying impulses of, would anybody show up? I was thrilled when the room was full. Look, I've done a ton of different sessions, and I'm always really usually happy with my sessions overall. I've never really been able to go, that's my one highlight, like that session was incredible. I have that now. Like that session, somebody made a comment on Twitter that the session kind of represented what the feel and the vibe of the Agile community, the tribe, was about. There was laughter, there was tears, there was learning, there was vulnerability, there was discussion, there was debate, there was it was all of it. And I thank Chris Lee for facilitating it. I thank the people that came that I knew that were there to support me. I thank the people that I didn't know that wanted to explore. It was an incredible experience, and one that I'm proud of and will be something that I cherish for a really long time. So it was incredible. The other highlight for me, I just actually had happen just in this last week. I did a session at our Agile for All Humanizing Work conference training event. Sorry, Ashton, I don't know what the official terminology. It's an event where people come together and we just dig in deeper. It's advanced. We're not talking about the basics, and it's for Agile for All alumni of our training, our clients only, and we host it once a year. And actually the talk I was talking about in the Learn, where I gave the personal challenges, that was one of the first times that I tried to put it into a kind of a session. And I did it at at Humanizing Work. And I just got a message from one of the attendees, not even a week ago, that simply, it was incredible. I'll paraphrase it because I don't want to do it justice, and I don't want to read the full thing without her disclosure, but it was essentially like, I attended your session, it moved me, and I just finished making a life change that originated from that session, and I couldn't be happier, and I thank you so much. And I cried, like tears of just, you don't realize how much you might be helping somebody else. And to have that humanizing work is a June, July timeframe, and it's December. And to get that message now, really, again, not shocking to me on the basics, because I've experienced it with other people so frequently, but to have me be the one that's providing that start, that the support to begin a change or to consider it is very humbling, and yet also very rewarding. And I'm grateful that, this is my job, that this is what I get to do, is to pay forward what other people have done for me. This is getting way more. See, when I don't have people to interact with, I get a little sappy and stuff online, and it's being recorded. So whatever. But I'm 2019 was an incredible year of just paying things forward. But also to myself and taking care of myself and what that means, and keeping connections and seeing people across the world. And this community of Agilists is unlike anything else. I went to a conference outside of the Agile community, and they were talking about things that I feel like our community talked about 10 years ago, honestly. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the learning that Agile's provided me. I'm grateful for the connections and the relationships that the tribe has created. And it's been a cool year. What's next for 2020? Who knows? Hopefully more business and organizational agility, because that's my lacked. And yes, maybe some on that book. We'll try. But I hope just more of paying it forward, and more of connecting with more people, with helping people, with making a difference. And you can't really ask for more than that. So that's the cool part. I have no idea if we have people live or not. I'll wait a second to see if there's questions. This is kind of an offshoot. We'll get back to true content in 2020. If you have requests of what content you want, shoot them in, leave comments. We'll be starting to schedule our schedules. You probably get a lot of me, because I enjoy doing these. We'll be scheduling those things out. So if you have requests for specific content, specific topics, we will be trying to tackle those just in little 30-minute snippets for you in 2020. I don't know how consistent we'll be. I think that was one of the challenges that we had in terms of every Thursday or picking a specific day, because it gets really hard with our schedules when we're traveling and flying, not just traveling to the client site, but flying to different places. And so it can be really challenging. Every week isn't the same. So we might explore a little bit of jumping around, even though it might mean less live people with us right there for the questions, but at least hopefully we're getting some content out for you in 2020. And with that, we'll save a minute to see if there are, because there are a few people on a couple of the platforms, to see if there's any questions. I got one. What would I recommend which conferences would I recommend for 2020? Well, clearly, my nose is very itchy today. Clearly, I'm going to recommend the Agile Alliance conference as a board of director. I have to go there, and I have to go there first. 2020 is in Orlando this year. I think it's actually in July of this year, not August. So I highly recommend that conference. For those that haven't attended, it's about 2,500 people. It has almost 300 sessions over a 4.5-day time span. Pretty much name this, name a speaker, name the content. It's often there. It's most global attendance across the board with it. So I highly, highly recommend it. It's the conference I've been attending every year since 2007. The other ones that I would recommend, I have to go local too. Mile High Agile Denver. I have to give a shout out to Mile High Agile Denver. I'll be there in 2020. They have not announced the program yet. I don't think so. But I do recommend that if you're not in the Denver area, a lot of big cities will have some kind of regional 1 to 2 day session. I know Michigan has Agile and Beyond. There's an Indianapolis one. There is Agile there is at Austin Agile Days. There's New York. In fact, I think New York has one. Agile New York has one coming up, I think pretty soon. So Arizona, Agile Arizona just had one. So a lot of Tampa's super active Agile community. So a lot of regionals have a 1 to 2 day conference. They tend to be a lot smaller. They tend to have a lot less options in any time slots, but you get more of a feel for the community that you're in. Have to give a shout out to Scrum Alliance in terms of the Scrum gatherings. This next year in 2020, I believe it's in May, and it's in New York City. So I will be there. Again, they haven't announced the program for that. I think the program gets announced at the end of this month. So that will be one that's out there. I also do a lot with shout out to Allison in TechWell's conferences, the Star East, the Star conferences, as well as the Agile Development Conference West and East. I haven't personally been there in I guess just a year or two. I don't know if I'll make those in 2020, but I've always enjoyed. They hold them typically in Vegas in June and Orlando in November, but I don't know if that's what the schedule will be for 2020. And then, of course, I'm going to give a shout out to the Humanizing Work event. And I think it's June this year in 2020. It's in Beaver Creek, Colorado. And that's where you'll get access to all of the Agile for All peeps, as well as our clients, and really dig in. So those are probably my top recommendation ones. There are a lot of really great ones. If you want to go global, I hear wonderful things about Lean Scotland. I just have never been to it myself. But every time I hear anything about that, wonderful thing. There's one other one that's in Lisbon, Experience Agile, I think it's called. And again, I've heard nothing but incredible things about that conference as well. So thank you for joining me for the end of the year kind of quick retro and exploration into what we're going to talk about. And hopefully we'll connect with you, in 2020. Hopefully we connect with you in 2020, and we hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Till next time.